WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users.
Do not pass me by. Do not pass me by.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to My Sister, Your Sister, where connection, conversation, and Christ come together. We're coming to you live every third Tuesday
at 8 p.m. Eastern,
right here on the award-winning station WVTC Detroit. Now let's dive deep into sisterhood, spirituality, and subjects that matter.
Pass me not, oh gentle Savior. Hear my humble cry. While others thou art calling.
Yes. Running on in after eating. I'm good. How y'all doing?
We are doing special and wonderful. And I want to give a shout out to my girl, Randy Butler, who's on our StreamYard tonight.
Hey, girlfriend.
Butler, yes.
How you doing?
I'm well. Good morning this evening.
Good morning.
Finally, but not least of thee, is Tamara Fontaine Hardy. How you doing tonight?
It's so good to be back at the desk.
It is.
It's good to be back in your homes. You know,
Oh,
back on Facebook and with my sisters.
oh, because you're my sister.
You're my sister.
Yeah, you're my
Your
sister.
sister, ain't my sister.
I know. So I'm just happy to be here.
Oh,
I'm
good.
happy to be here with our guests and with each of
Yes.
you. It's going to be an exciting conversation.
I think so. I'm looking forward to this. And since you already gave us the kickoff, let's go ahead and introduce the one and only wellness coach, Liz Blanding. And before you go ahead and bless us with the ministry tonight about trauma recovery, I'm just going to run down her bio because,
Come on.
you know, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. And it's available on her website, which we will give out for you to look at any resources, guides, her books, all of that. But first and foremost, she's a minister,
Yes, she
Come
is.
on.
holistic trauma recovery coach,
Yes, she
best-selling author,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Certified naturopathic specialist,
Mm-hmm.
addiction and abuse wellness coach,
all around.
podcaster,
Here we go.
and a complex PTSD survivor.
You got everything you need.
I'm not done.
Oh my.
And CEO of Oasis Wellness. So I bring to you tonight wellness coach Liz Blanding. Welcome to the show. Did I leave anything? Any more time we left out?
Girl, wasn't any left?
I tell you, all be to the glory of God. That's
Hey.
it. That's it.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. We are so happy to have you here tonight. And I know you asked before we got on air, like, how does this thing go? So typically, you know, it's very conversational, but we like to pepper in some questions because there are some specific things I think we all want to talk to you about with your expertise around trauma recovery. And I want to kick it off by asking you, I know that some people feel that, you know, what you may offer as a wellness coach, as a specialist, might be similar to therapy, or sometimes folks would conflate what you do to like therapy, but I know there's a difference, and I would love you to share with us that difference and give us the definition of trauma, because I think a lot of people carry a lot of different definitions, and I know there might be something specific particularly from your vantage point, that needs to be shared to kind of demystify that for folks. So,
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today. I
Hey,
am so
welcome.
excited to be in the house.
Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Oh,
Yes.
Coach.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to go into it's peer to peer. And so when you talk about trauma recovery coaching, it's peer to peer. That means I see you eyeball to eyeball. That means that your trauma, the trauma that you may have gone through, I've been through those different types of trauma. And so therefore, we're talking peer to peer. So all the certifications, the titles and all that, I thank God for those things. But that's why I come in and have a conversation. So when you talk about, that's the difference between therapy. You know,
Okay.
so for me, and I use myself as an example. When I was in a car accident, I had mandatory therapy because of the extensive injuries that I suffered. And that mandatory therapy, I went through 5 different therapists and none of it worked.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
because it was white coat.
Come on.
Right.
Ah,
It was
okay.
white coat, and it was dictatorship mostly. That's what it felt like to me.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I needed to be a part of my recovery. I needed to understand it all. Not that I was trying to use up anybody's authority or their titles or anything. I just needed to be a part of my recovery.
Mhm.
So when you talk about trauma recovery, we talk about the therapy part of it. And I don't knock therapy because oftentimes we need both.
Yeah.
But the coaching is like, I'm walking through the journey with you, lock arms with me, because there may be some things that I've overcome that I can help you to overcome. So now it helps you your journey, helps your journey to be more like sister. I love what you have here, my sister, your sister.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what it's like, sister.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you say trauma, it's really challenging to give a definition because everybody's trauma is as different as unique as their fingerprint.
Mm.
I like
So when you have, it just depends on what your experience has been in life, period, right? And so
agree.
different types of trauma is something that happens. You know, I say it happens for you and not to you.
That's interesting.
Ooh, okay, that's a different vantage point.
Say that one more time.
It happens for you and not to you, because that takes the victim mentality out of it.
Okay.
It takes it out of it, and now I can walk towards my recovery, confidence, and with clarity.
Okay, so what insurances do you take, and what's your calendar like on Friday?
She told you we laughed too.
She called me with that one. Let's see. But yeah, everything that I do is naturopathic, and you know, kind of have to know my story in order to know why I'm so into the naturopathic arena and naturopathic world. You know, I didn't have any idea that this was even available until I say a tree jumped out in front of my car and changed my life.
Mm.
Okay. I had a car accident driving just on my way. You know, our schedules are busy. A car hydroplaned into me and knocked me into a tree and up the hill.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Whew.
and I'm a walking miracle because
Uh-huh.
when you hit a tree and the tree is the only thing holding you up. And when I came to, I walked behind the car to grab my mother out, and she looked at me and she said, "Do you think it's going to roll?" Well, we were on a hill. The tree was literally holding us up.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I dragged her, fell to the ground, and the car rolled back down and totaled in traffic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Woo.
That visual right now.
Yeah.
is just-
I mean,
that visual is
Yeah,
just
that-
rocking me right now. It's
yeah,
like
I had a
something you
shiver
see
down
in a
my
movie.
spine.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that-
It's like a
That
scene
don't
in a
even
movie.
seem real.
Yeah. I said God just took us like this and he lifted us on top of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the cars just kept crashing them down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I say that to say that my journey in recovery, because I was busy, I was rolling down the road of real estate. I mean, I didn't know anything about naturopathic medicine. It didn't come in my family or any of those things. But when I went to dating my doctors for 2 years, and they told me, this is it. You're either going to have to accept where you are or you're not going to get any better. And because of my faith and my belief, I said, if I accept what you all are telling me and where I am, I'm not going to get better.
That is true.
And so that's when I went on the whole quest of learning naturopathic medicine. Went about, in Genesis, it tells us about every herb bearing seed being good for us. Yep. And that means that every challenge that we can run into, God has already prepared an herb or herbs or herb regimen for us. And that was in my spirit, that was in my soul. So I started going through training, and it really, honestly, it was for myself, but God had a greater purpose for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so I could find out when they say you don't have double knee replacement surgery, You're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. If you don't, I didn't like the way the medicines made me feel. I was a single divorced mom with 3 children at home. I had 1 daughter in high school and twins in elementary school. And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying to me. I couldn't accept that as my destiny. So I started learning about naturopathic medicine. And that's why everything is holistic for me, because it's my faith in God, and he tells me what to do. He tells me the herbs, and that's what.
So you said that a lot of what you do in your coaching has a lot to do with your story.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious about the addiction and abuse. And then you have naturopathic. And then you have a PTSD survivor complex.
PTSD
So I wanted to get underneath a lot of that, because I find that very unique.
Yes.
In that your story detailed your entirety of services you provide to others, which I think is a very interesting way of presenting it, right? You're not just presenting it as wellness. Like there's there's specificity to what you do. So can you give us a little bit more about like those other offerings that you have in your bio? How does that all come about as well? Well, those are pieces of you.
Yeah, that's the look on her face for me right now. She's like, she done open it up. Okay. Here we go. Here we go.
You want to hear it? Here we go.
Here we go.
So
Give us the not the short version, but give us the
Give us the meat with the gravy.
Yes.
okay. So
Because
the
to
meat,
go with her cabbage.
the meat, and you know what's so wonderful and so unique is that now I can talk about the story, and it took me until 50 some odd years dating myself before I could do that. And that's what trauma recovery is all about. You meet and find your true self. And so if you say the story and I give it to you in a nice package, trauma for me started in the womb. I did not know that there was a such thing as wound trauma, but my mother was being abused while my body was trying to come together, mind, body, spirit, and soul. So I was in a cesspool of cortisol, a cesspool of stress. So I never knew what safety was being born into this world. I didn't know what safety was. So fast forward that being born in the womb from trauma, and then you go into a domestic violence, abusive home. I don't know how deep or graphic you want me to get, but I do talk about it in my book.
Okay. What's the name of the book since you brought it up?
Pathway to Trauma Recovery.
Why don't you show
That's
the
my
people?
book here, Pathway to Trauma Recovery.
Okay.
And I talk about not only the wound trauma, but how important it is, those developmental stages from inception up until 9 to 12 years old is so important in our lives because it sets the foundation for us.
Yes.
So if you think about coming from wound trauma, being born into domestic violence, at 3 years old, me and my sister watched my mother being stabbed by her estranged husband. Okay. Yeah, we witnessed that. And then we went into hiding. Nobody took that 3-year-old baby to any type of therapy, any type of talking through or anything. But that was still, again, another part of the trauma. So before I was even 5 years old, I already had trauma on top of trauma. And then you go into your life things don't make sense. Right? So when things don't make sense because you're making decisions out of, I call it the kaleidoscope version of life. Because everything is shattered. Everything, your perspective is skewed.
Yeah.
But you don't know it. So you go through life, you make decisions
So it
in
seems normal
relationships.
to you.
It does. And so when you talk about the addiction part, addiction can also be emotional.
Now see,
Okay.
that's a
Addiction
nugget.
can be emotional. And that's, again, you're trying to anesthetize the pain of the trauma that you don't even know is there.
Your mental model is completely off.
Totally distorted, totally off. So what you think is right is really left.
Yes.
But to you, it's right.
It's right.
And that tall, dark, handsome man over there.
With all his teeth.
Hello.
I just had to add that in.
That is, just everything, because you're looking for safety. When your perspective is skewed like that, you're looking for safety. So if you're looking for safety in the arms of some strong arms, right?
Or at least
I didn't
7
say
figures.
anything about, that helps too.
It don't hurt. It don't hurt.
But we didn't say anything about going through the whole, what's your belief?
Mm-hmm.
What is your what's your bank account look like? We ain't going through none of that. We just looking
Right.
at the strong arms to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
How would you advise somebody when they're engaging in relationships? Because I imagine, to your point, you even asked us, like, how deep do you want me to go?
Mhm.
How much do you want me to reveal? But when you start building relationships and you're walking this path, how do you tell your story in a way? Is it the empowering of telling the story, or is there a way of telling the story that allows the other person to receive you differently, or with the lens of, I understand where you've been, and I want to be the person that kind of be with you on that journey and not be a distraction or a hindrance. So is there a point in time when you should tell your story, and how do you do that, or not at all?
I
Or
mean, like in the
No, I
dating
think-
phase?
Yeah.
it could be
Or
dating, it
just
could be
just
friendship.
relationships,
It
yeah.
could be it's just in relationship in general. When is it safe to say, and when is it not safe to say? And
Ooh, that's hard. You have to
I
know the
wanna
person.
I want to go into the point of, once you go through, that's why trauma recovery is so important.
Mhm.
Because once you go through trauma recovery, then you show up as your true, authentic self. And then you want to be in relation. You don't want to just throw up on somebody, right? But you do want to be honest and open,
That part.
and you want that true relationship.
Right.
So if that person runs because of what you've gone through, that's not the person.
They're not ready.
Mm.
And then you have to remember, with the CDC stating that 70 to 80% of our population have gone through trauma, faced some type of trauma. 20 to 30% is supporting somebody with trauma. So did I name 100% of the population?
Yeah.
So when you meet somebody and you're your whole person, and you want a whole person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or somebody that's walking through therapy, somebody that has their hand in hand with God, sure. Because then they have the heart, then they have the spirit, and then you can walk together, and then they're not afraid of you teaching them how to be with you, because we still need to do that too.
Right.
Mm.
So they're not afraid, they're not going to run.
Dr. Liz, my question is, or I always call her Dr. Liz. I'm sorry, you guys. That's just what.
Did I miss something? Did she
No,
also?
No, naturopathic.
Okay.
Naturopath. I just call her that. She serves with me on the health ministry at the church.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so she's one of the. So I always call her Dr. Liz. The one thing that I'd like for you to share with us, because one of the things we know is that everybody's on their journey, and there are several people who you can talk to somebody and be like, she's talking through her trauma, or she's living. You can, if you've gone through trauma training, both Nikki and I have gone through trauma training, so you can almost, when you interact with people, you can see the trauma on them.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to a place where you recognize, because you said you had trauma in the womb, through your life growing up, you had trauma. You supposedly maybe had a relationship where there was trauma.
Quite a few.
Yeah. And so then the car accident, and then your physical health, and all of that's trauma. At what point did you decide this is enough? I need help? Because there are people out there who we know refuse to get help because of the stigma behind saying that you need help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was exhausted and tired of life not working. And I came to the point to say, okay, I was going through the naturopathic, training and just trying to figure out myself, like what is going on? I'm making these bad decisions in relationship after relationship, and I'm on this wheel of, I'm thinking these are good decisions, but the outcome is not good.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the accident. And when I started seeking about naturopathic medicine, it's like an onion, and those layers just start to peel off. And then there was something more, it was something deeper. And I said, okay, take yourself out of the dating pool because you're not ready. Pull yourself out of that. And then it was my children, because I wanted to be whole for them. I wanted to show up for them. I didn't want to keep passing this generational trauma down through my children and to my grandchildren.
That part.
So as I started learning more and I started peeling away more, first it was the physical, because I needed to get that pain out of my body. And then working through, okay, this is something, and it's something. It is not a one and done. Okay, it's something that you have to commit to. It's a lifestyle because as you continue to pull those layers off, there's more that you uncover. There's more that you uncover.
That's interesting because I think a lot of times people think that once you go to therapy for 3-4 months, then you're good, and then you can you don't need therapy anymore. You can go you can go live the rest of your life. But no, everything is a process, and a lot of things are in layers anyway. Everything that we are experiencing, I think, is in layers in terms of how we either deal with it or how it either comes out or how we express, whatever it is that we're going through or the trauma that we're going through. It's all in layers. And so it is like an onion. You got to keep peeling and keep peeling and keep peeling. And I don't think we're ever going to be down to the core. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we'll ever get all the way. That's for me. I don't think we'll ever get all the way to the core until we're up out of here. Because I think we have a lot, so many layers and so much life to live. You know what I'm saying? And then there's things that happen even as we go.
That's what I was going to say. And things are going to, so we build up the toolkit to help us. So when something happens, like, I just had a horrific incident that I had to go through, and it was something I had never experienced before, walking a friend in a hospice situation and being there with them overnight and seeing them make that transition, or going into the phases of making that transition. And that was traumatic for me, but I had the tools of resilience. I had, prayer, and I leaned into my faith, because that's a huge part of recovery. It's leaning into your faith and asking for more and more clarity and asking for discernment and continue to pray. So in saying that is like what you just said about life is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
But now you've built up a whole different person to walk through that with. And also, I just want to run back to the relationship part. You also build up that if that person is not where you are already for you, you don't feel rejected because you now come into who you really are.
I like that a lot. And you kind of tipped into my other question about resilience. And what does that look like in trauma recovery? And specifically, how can people nurture it, their daily lives? And you mentioned prayer. You also mentioned going back to basics, right? Changing your diet, right?
Yes.
Maybe changing some of the nature of your relationship. But the path to trauma recovery, does that give some insight into that resiliency part of it?
It does. And so I'm going to answer parts of your question, parts. Probably what you asked me. So yes, the pathway to trauma recovery, we talk about Erik Erikson's theory on psychosocial development and how each part of like a child's development, how that unfolds, right? Depending on like the different, like right now, my twin granddaughters are 3 years old, right? They're just balls of love. But because I know now, there are certain things, like I was brought up in old school where, you don't say no to your parents, right? But they're now asserting their independence. So they're saying no. So I have to teach them how to do it respectfully, but still allow them that independence to, like I was trying to help them put their pants on, and they're like, no, I got it. I'm like, okay, you got it. Then it's upside down. You got to help them. Like, okay, you did good. Help them turn it around, but still let them do it. Even then, let them do it. So yes, and what I love about the book is that we have 13 different authors from around the world.
Oh, cool.
That put their trauma recovery stories out. And they talked about what the type of, yes. And I was the lead author on the project, but each one of us put our trauma recovery and what we went through and because sometimes it might be Tamara's voice that someone resonates with. It may not be my voice. It may be your voice. It may be your voice that somebody resonates with. So there's a story in there. And like I say, each different type of trauma has been, not all traumas, but have been covered in the book. Oh. You talk about building up your toolkit for resilience. First thing I did was went to my, right? Anytime I feel it, or music, that's another tool for me. I mean, if y'all see me pull up, I was just driving the other day and I was praising in my car, and I looked over and there was 3 guys in the car, and they started doing their praise. All right, let's be infectious here, okay? But anytime you feel yourself going on that downward spiral, you have tools to bring yourself back up. Don't let yourself get down to that rock bottom. Those are the tools.
So here's a person who has just experienced a traumatic event. I don't know, maybe their house went into foreclosure and they had to go into a shelter, right? Traumatic, right? Especially if they have a family. What's the first step to trauma recovery? What's the first step for a person if they are going to recover from that? What should be their first step?
Is awareness and truth. Because oftentimes we swallow it because we're told that we're supposed to just swallow it and just keep going. We're supposed to just put our shoulders up and keep going.
Fake it till you make it.
No, yes, that's what we're told, but that's not true because that makes us sick. Right? So
Say that again.
So it's truly one of the things that we teach in trauma recovery is to remove toxic people, places, and things. Make sure that you have a good, healthy support system around you. Make sure that you don't go and isolate. That was my kryptonite: isolate and workaholism. Mine was so to the point, like I said, real estate before the accident. I was showing a home, and I would make sure I showed 6 homes at a time, and it had everything that you wanted because we were going right. We were going to write that house. So everything you wanted, you had no objection. So we go. I'm showing a house. I'm showing this lady the house, and she loved this house. And I tripped over a pot, and I, jumped up, kind of embarrassed, wiped myself off, kept on going. We saw the rest of the houses, and as I walked into the office, she said, "We're not writing the house." And why? We just spent the whole day together. Why are we not writing the house? She said, "Look at your leg. My calf was as big as my thigh, and I didn't feel it." See, part of trauma, you learn how to turn off the pain. But she said, we're not writing. I'm gonna write this house with you, but you're going to the hospital first. I'm upset and angry and all of this stuff, all unhealthy. And I go to the hospital. He said, "This emergency room is full tonight, but you need to be here." He showed me where the poison was going up my leg. So whatever I tripped over, it pricked me, and the poison was going up to my heart. That's how unhealthy trauma is. And you don't even know. So when you ask me what is the first step, it's awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you grow up, and I think that's because a lot of times our parents going through trauma, and like you said, some of that trauma passes down. And I remember, being told not to cry when you hurt. I know, because I was with you when you told me not to cry. So funny how you condition yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Of course, men are told not to cry. Men are always told not to cry. And that's
But
not
people in
healthy.
general are told not to
we're supposed
feel.
to be that strong Black woman.
Yeah.
Or
that
don't
strong
show
Black
your
man.
tears. Don't.
Yeah.
And so
Your tears are for your pillow.
Yeah, I'm not a crier because of that reason. And the event Michelle was talking about, we were somewhere for a wedding, and something wasn't going right. Michelle started to cry. I was like, "You better not let one tear drop out of your
That's
eye."
okay. And I reacted like a 12-year-old. I said,
toxicity right on back in her system. But this is what happens, and this is a part of my point too. When our leaders aren't trauma informed and educated on trauma, we inadvertently re-traumatize others. And it's all it's not.
Me and you are never part.
And it's not even from the hard place. The hard place is I'm trying to protect you. I want you to be, I mean, I've done it when I was growing up, when I was raising my children, the same thing. But but once you know better, then you start doing better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Liz, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
You were talking about awareness, and it sounded like self-awareness as you guys were speaking. In leadership, a lot of times we should maybe recognize when someone else that we're leading is having a trauma response. What maybe are some of those like key behaviors that we can look for or to recognize when this person is having a trauma response, so we can maybe have some grace with them?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. So there's a lot of keys that you can look for, right? You can look for somebody that's people pleasing. That's a true giveaway. Somebody that's people pleasing, that you see them. I mean, and we're serving. I love to serve, but oftentimes We serve and 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 we burn out. If somebody in that capacity.
Are you talking about the
Right.
person that's being traumatized or the person
You
that's
see-
leading? Because I feel like that's the
It's
leader too, to some
both.
degree.
I was about to say it's both.
It's both, but it's healthy that we all learn how to recognize when somebody is going through that trauma, through the trauma. I want to say rabbit hole, right? Or somebody that's that's withdrawn, or somebody that disappears because they're in isolation. There's somebody that actually sometimes will act out in anger. And then oftentimes, and this is what I talk about, trauma being so progressive, we swallow it, right? We bury it. We're taught to swallow it, right? And so we show up, we're all made up, hair done.
You don't look like what you've
We're
been going
fine.
through.
You don't. But guess what? When you don't address it, because trauma sits there like old festering food, it will erupt. And so when somebody's acting out of behavior, their anger is elevated, and it's really no cause for, maybe you sneezed or you coughed or you ran in front of them with your cart or something like that. All of those are signs that somebody is dealing with unresolved trauma.
Can I add one? I think brain fog is so real.
Stress.
That's menopause, girl.
But you know what though? And it's worse when we don't deal with our trauma and we get into menopause.
Woo,
Because now our hormones are all over the place,
All
and
out
our
of whack.
cortisol are all over the place, and we're
I
on.
got cortisol belly and
See?
everything.
All of
See?
that.
Yeah,
Saying a word now.
of it.
My husband be dwelling on the rooftop sometimes.
That's
Okay.
a great question.
Yeah, we have a great question.
That is a great question. So, mind, body, spirit, and soul needs to all connect together. So when you say mental, I think it's both. When you say more mental or more spiritual, I think it's both, because you have a soul fracture when you go through trauma.
Bishop talks about that a lot.
He
so-
does.
Fractured
He talks about-
soul.
Yep. And it fragments. Excuse me. It fragments. So again, when I said looking through that kaleidoscope when we were kids, think about that, going through life, looking at life through this kaleidoscope. But you don't know that you're looking through the kaleidoscope. So it's not me. It's that person. It's that person. It's this issue, or life is just not working out for me.
I want to go back to something Randy asked, is as a leader,
Yes.
and especially in corporations, they don't talk about trauma-based leadership.
No.
And as a leader, I often deal with individuals who are under me that are traumatized. I see it on them. I experience it. And I'm that person that wants to give grace, because you see that trauma and you want to help them. You know what I mean? What are some tools if you're a leader and you see the trauma? How do you effectively lead someone who is traumatized and then can spew that trauma on others?
And that's a great question. And that's why this my whole mission and everything is to get our leaders.
I know we talk about that.
Yeah, trauma-informed leadership.
Yeah.
And then now, like what you said about giving that person grace, absolutely. Because like an example, when I was working in corporate and I was in an accident, second accident, was in the first accident, I went back to work too fast. And I went to the ladies' room, my legs locked up on me. And my supervisor got upset because some calls dropped that she slammed the basket of claims against the wall. Okay. She slammed them against the wall. I was totally embarrassed, still in my trauma, right? Totally embarrassed. Went back to my desk and I quit. Instead of me dealing with it by going up to the next level and all of that, I had to go back into isolation. Right. So what you said about giving that person grace, but also understand that person is self-determination. So if that person does not address that trauma, it's like a ticking time bomb. Right. And so as a leader, like you said, giving that person grace, helping them to feel safe, because trauma robs that feeling of safety. If you're coming at them aggressive and they already don't feel safe with anybody or any place, it can fester.
But I also think, is it possible to, in that scenario as well, like there's only so much you can do
Come on here.
Oh, absolutely.
as a leader or a supervisor, right? Like, because that trauma, can be very, very deep. and it manifests. So
Mhm.
what's the advice of pulling back? Like, you could give only so much grace. You could
Gotta know
only
when to
give
hold them.
When the
And when to
fold,
fold 'em.
right.
Right,
So
right.
And when
when
to
is
let
it
'em go.
time to fold them? When is it time to be like, you know what?
this ain't working.
But truthfully, as a leader or a manager or supervisor, that's when I say, get your people trauma informed, get some trauma informed education
Okay.
in the environment,
Okay.
because then you can say we offered this and now
Mhm.
that person didn't take advantage of it. Then I say it's time to fold them, because
Mhm.
you don't know what that person is then capable of doing, and you have these big explosive situations.
Recently, my uncle passed, and my boss reminded me, because I don't know how I forgot, but my boss reminded me. She's like, "You do get bereavement time." She was like, "Take it," and I was like, "Oh yeah." It was like I actually forgot that I could actually do that. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was an uncle and it wasn't, an immediate family member, but she was like, "No, call the HR person, find out how many days you get," and she was like, "And make sure you take those days."
Yeah.
And it was, that to me is like an example of a leader saying, "Hey, this is offered to you. This is what you can do. Make sure you take advantage of it." And in that instance, and I was like, I really literally forgot about bereavement time.
That awareness and being aware. I
Mhm.
applaud your supervisor for that.
Mhm.
Is again, we said lead with awareness.
Lead with
Being
awareness.
aware and
Love
not,
that.
like I said, I used to cope with workaholism. So I was always working, and I probably would have been one that took my days either. I would have been just like that.
You would have been
Not
kept
my day.
going.
Kept going, because it was something I could control, right? That
So
was
there's a
something
bit
I
of
can
control
control.
in the trauma then,
Yes,
right?
it is. Yeah, something you can control. You couldn't control that happened to you. I couldn't control the, the accident. I could not control the domestic violence. I couldn't control any of that. But I can control work. I can control if I work and I feel good because I'm being productive. I'm
Right.
getting things done.
Right.
So I'm getting that whole dopamine rush, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep on, drag my leg on.
Literally,
Even though it done got all big.
And what I loved about what I was reading on your website, which is Oasis Wellness, was at the bottom of your website, it said, I might be messing this up, but become a thriver.
Yes.
And I love that. I had to look at it again, to become a thriver. So you're already starting from a asset-based approach to your work. Can you say a little bit more about why language and the language you chose is so important in this process?
Right, because because when you're in trauma, you are in the survival mode, right? So now to become a thriver is we're living again, we're breathing again. You remember in The Wiz where they went into the parlor, and then they was pulling off these suits. They were in this sweatshop, and then the Wicked Witch came in, and then the rain came, and something about her flushing down the commode or whatever.
Mhm.
But when they start peeling off those suits,
Yeah.
they were like,
Mhm.
can you see a brighter day? Can you feel a brighter day?
Mhm.
That's what trauma recovery is about.
Okay.
Because now you're peeling off all
Everybody
that
wake up
stuff.
to the
You know
morning
that
and
one?
too happy.
It's like this is the way I'm living now. I love this song. That's like one of my favorite movies. But yes, I get it.
But that's what thriving is all about. It's like meeting yourself, being able to smile. Can you imagine being in the worst stress position 24/7?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what trauma feels like.
I scratch my head like
24/7. You don't come down. You don't come down. You don't come down. You're not able to have fun. You're not able to smile. You always think the next shoe is going to drop. It's that feeling.
Mhm.
But you still have to show up for it. You still have to show up for your family. You still have to show up for all the roles that you play, but nobody knows that you're shattered on the inside.
Dr. Liz,
Yes.
again, your life is a great example and a testimony of somebody who's overcome trauma and who's now thriving. And sometimes people think, well, she's an anomaly, that couldn't happen for me. Do you have maybe one of your most memorable stories of someone who has overcome trauma so somebody else can have some hope today?
Absolutely. Oh wow. And through many. But one of my students who is now intern in my program, because once you go through our 12-week trauma recovery program, you can then become an intern, and now you can help other people as well.
Oh, that's good.
And you have master classes too, right?
Yes, we do.
Mhm.
Yes, we do. And so once they go through the program, and so he went through the program, and he has layered upon layer of trauma, complex PTSD, and others. But like I said, he's okay with me sharing his story. He got into the program and, was really like deflated and really didn't see a way because he felt like his whole family had isolated him. So his challenge was he didn't know, he never put up boundary, right? And family members and everybody just kept taking. And then one day he erupted and he hurt a family member. But he felt so bad because that's what happens when you bury that trauma, right? You bury it, and then all of a sudden something happens and you blow up on a family member, and now everybody turns against you.
Yeah.
So now you're isolated. Now you're feeling, like you're this horrible person, and you don't even know why you blew up. But it was because you kept wallowing it, and you kept letting people take advantage of you, kept people pleasing, and then all of a sudden you erupted. Well, that happened, and through our program, he was able to work through the challenges in courts and all that other stuff. And I just love seeing him show up because you can see the weight lifted off, right? Now he's understanding all of the different components, and that, I had trauma that I never resolved. That's why I blew up, and that's why life wasn't working out for me. But now life is working out. Now you have healthy people around you, and sometimes, unfortunately, even with family, you have to set those boundaries, and you have to come out of toxic people, places, and things. So if there's somebody that's toxic and they're not willing to get help, you got to separate yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to keep going down that same rabbit hole. So that's one of the examples, and there are many. And I have people call me back all the time and like, oh my God, you know what? I had wound trauma. I didn't even know about it. I didn't know that I passed wound trauma on to my children. So that becoming aware, becoming educated, understanding your situation, and understanding, don't compare your trauma to anybody else's trauma.
That is so true.
And don't put it on your recovery or your healing on a timeline.
No.
Because
it
takes a long time. And I remember on the website, you talked about it being, recovery is active.
It is.
It's a verb. There's always some action going on. So you're not, to your point, you're not going to come to a point where, I'm super saved and holy, and bring it on. I know all the verses. Like,
no.
But listen.
But you do, it's an active engagement, an active,
and it's ongoing.
It's ongoing. I had another. Okay, so I did a whole series, a 6-part series on military PTSD versus civilian complex PTSD. That's on my other podcast. That's on the Get Trauma Informed podcast. I did it with a military veteran, and he talked about how they called him for a drill, and he went he went thinking it was a drill, and they were actually getting ready to put him in active duty. And how all the guys just kind of was falling out, and he was afraid that the people that he's supposed to lead, he couldn't lead them because they were all falling out. So when he came back, he had PTSD and didn't know it, and ended up divorcing because his wife kept telling him, "There's something going on with you. You're different," and he didn't address it, and they divorced. But we talked about how many similarities between civilian complex PTSD and military PTSD. And I said that to say, when he was when he was going through the sessions, we had to stop like third session or something, because he said, you know what, you're helping me with some things that I see 2 psychiatrists. I'm on 5 psychotropic medications, and he says it's on screen. So I'm not going against any privacy or anything. But he said, what I've learned here has helped me more, because I thought that the medications and the therapy was this is my lot in life. But I told him, I said, the things that we need to do, the self-care, meaning it's important. You got to drink your water. You got to stay hydrated, right? You have to eat the proper nourishment. There's self-care in exercising, in meditation. And these are things that we must do. Do it to stay healthy. But when you're in trauma recovery, this is a lifestyle change. Like I told him, I was like, I'm up like 3 hours early before I have to leave because I have to do my exercise, I have to meditate, I have to pray, I have to journal, I have to do all of these things, I have to eat, I have to do all these things. And he was like, whew, that's a lot. Okay, but are
keeps
you
you healthy.
exchanging that? Are you
Right.
exchanging that for 5 psychotropic drugs, 2 psychiatrists, and a therapist?
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah. So
Can you kind of sort of talk about, as I mentioned before, you serve with me on the Ministry of Health, and we offer classes.
Right.
Can you tell the our guests
Okay.
about the classes that you offer and when those classes are offered, and just provide them and give them an understanding of what is available to them if they are ready
If they're
to
ready.
go down the journey of healing?
Right. So they're ready to, and I say recover. And the reason I say recover is because you're recovering everything that was stolen from you. You're pulling all
Right
that
on.
back, right? So here's the one thing. So as you said earlier, when we were talking about the different like my journey,
Yeah.
and somebody asked me on another podcast was, have you ever been angry or upset because of the pain? And I said, at one point I was upset because I was like, God, why so much pain? Like, why? I don't
Yeah.
understand. And we do say, why me? It's
Yeah.
just the truth.
Yeah.
And then what God gave back to me is that this is like my pain to purpose, right? So now that I'm walking fully in my purpose, I can show up as who He intended for me to be, right? And then my pain was not just for me, but it was so I could help other people as well. So we all have a purpose, and this was my purpose. So I'm no longer angry about that.
Mhm.
So I created, and I said that to say, I created 63 different products and services, right? So we can meet you where you are. So when somebody shows
63?
up, yeah, and I haven't
And
stopped
counting?
yet.
63 products and services?
Yes.
Go ahead, girl.
But somebody shows, thank you.
Yeah.
When somebody shows up in like the military, they showed up. I said, okay, I don't have it, but let's go create it. So we created a 12-week program for them. Domestic violence, we have a 12-week trauma recovery program for them. We have a 12-week trauma recovery program to meet you where you are, right? And in that, we create a safe space for you to come and you can be yourself, right? This is the 2 hours, right? They're 2 hour increments or segments. And you have the ability to come in and either, talk about some of the things that are going on with you, listen to some of the other stories, because we are delivered by the testimony, right?
Peer to
And you
peer.
right. And that's what it is. It's peer to peer. It's a safe space because, again, safety is important. So we have the 12-week trauma recovery courses. We have the
Leadership.
the trauma. Thank you. The trauma informed leadership masterclass, which is 3 hours, right? It's a 3-hour intensive, and then we have classes, 9-week class to help you after, like you start that leadership masterclass, and you say, "Wow, there's a lot of things," because that's what often happens. Majority of the time, people are saying, "I didn't even know I needed this. I didn't even know that was in me. I didn't know that." And so when you become aware, we have a plethora of classes to help you to recover. And then if you desire, help somebody else to recover by becoming a certified trauma recovery coach.
So since we're on the list of things, because I know we got 9 minutes.
Uh-oh.
So I want you to let the people know about the book, let the people know about your resources on oasiswellness.com, and the smoothie book.
Yeah, the smoothie book. Okay.
When you do that, let them know
Okay.
that it's not as expensive as they believe, because sometimes people say, I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
But the trauma
What if they need a combination platter? You know what I'm saying?
The
They
trauma
need
recovery
like 4 or
is
5 different
only like
recoveries.
$25
Not a
for
rib
12
combo
weeks.
meal.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
important for people to know, because they say, I can't afford this, but it is,
Right.
you've done it so that you made it available at a very affordable rate.
And that was my heart's desire, was to make it very affordable. So if anybody wanted the trauma recovery, they had a safe space to recover. I actually created what I wanted and didn't find for myself. So the Oasis Wellness CTRS.com, and that's Oasis Wellness, is centers abbreviated, Oasis Wellness CTRS.com. You'll find, and sometimes people say they go in and they find all of these. Well, that's my brainchild. So if somebody needed something, I put it out there. But you'll find the classes out there. There are I have complimentary classes out there where you just You just purchase your book, right? You purchase your book, $20, and you purchase your
And it's on
your
Amazon.
workbook. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
yeah, but you know, I prefer them go through the website.
All right.
Makes
Okay.
sense, yeah.
Yeah, going through the website, but yet it is on Amazon as well. But yeah, so the trauma recovery classes are all on the website, and you know, we meet you where you are. It's in a safe space. All of our trauma recovery coaches have been through some sort of trauma themselves. Not only that, they're peer to peer. So peer to peer again is somebody locking arms with, and I got you. And until you are ready to speak, you can just sit in on the classes and you can say, you know, listen and see how it helps you. And oftentimes that's a part of the recovery, hearing somebody else's journey as well.
Absolutely.
And the smoothie book is also
The
available.
smoothie book is
Talk
also
about that a little
available.
bit.
Okay, so the smoothie book is also available. And the smoothie book came about when I was going through trying to get my body back together, and I wanted to get all this inflammation out. So I got rid of the dairy, but y'all, I still like flavor. So I had to create some smoothies that would taste good. And you know what I did? Before as I was writing the recipes down, I was testing them on my grandchildren. You know, they're honest. No, not that one. I said, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Chocolate and strawberries. Yes. So all of the smoothies. And the smoothie book also has the story of why I went into naturopathic medicine, is because I needed to find out more than, you know, this is my lot in life, because I just didn't believe that. But that's what the smoothie book is. A fun book. It talks about the accident though, and it talks about all these beautiful smoothies that taste good too, and that are grandchild approved.
If I would have known that prior to, I'd have been like, can you bring some of them smoothies here?
Oh yeah.
So we can take some of these smoothies. But that'll be next time. I'm sure we'll have to do a part 2 with you at some
Oh,
point.
wow.
But
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's good. I'm excited. I'm gonna go to the website. I don't know about anybody else, but I have a lot going on right now, like a whole lot going on. So I know I can benefit from the classes, even if I just go and, like you were just saying, you just go and you listen. You know, I'm gonna buy the book from the website. Praise
right,
God.
right.
And
Not from
but
Amazon.
not from Amazon.
Don't-
No shade to Amazon,
No,
but you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
want to support. First of all, just the support, and second
Mhm.
of all, because I know that, you know, it can help me in, you know, where I am right now. It's just you know how you just have too many irons in the fire, and you don't see how you can prioritize what needs to come first, what needs to come second, what needs to come third. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And so when you you know, when you're a leader and you got all these other things you know, that you have to get done and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely see a benefit to starting that journey. Even though you go through a training, we went through a whole year of inner healing and
Intense.
deliverance, you know, training and understanding, you know, things that happen in the womb. We learned all about stuff like that. And you know, but even after a whole year, you still go through stuff because life is still
Life is
happening.
lifing.
Absolutely.
You know, so just, you know, just recent stuff and job changing and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And your child doing one thing. I got a 14-year-old son who's playing football, and, you know what I'm saying, he's kind of known, you know what I'm saying, in his school. And, you know, everybody's like, oh, that's Ian's mom. Now I'm Ian's mom.
Now
You
you
know?
are a momager.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and the girls are coming out of the woodwork, you know what I'm saying? So all that kind of stuff. So yeah, girl, I'm gonna need a combination platter. You know, I'm gonna need the rib and chicken combo.
Self-care. That's the one word I want to put out there. Self-care.
That's-
As we
that's
nurture and
real.
take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Self-care is so important, and we shouldn't feel guilty for taking care of ourselves.
And Delta been telling us that for years. Put the mask on yourself
Mhm.
before
Yep.
you can help
Absolutely.
somebody else.
Absolutely.
exactly
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome.
I
back.
live by that.
2 hours.
2 hours a week.
2 hours.
That
a week.
that should be able. You
2
should
hours
be able
a
to do
week
that.
of
2 hours a week of
We
trauma
watch more
recovery.
TV than that.
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Don't let me binge watch something.
Right.
Yeah.
Age, I know we're about to end and we only have about 3 minutes, but what about children? Because we have a lot, again, to your point, youth experienced trauma in the womb, came out, and then you have children who are responding a certain way. We may not understand why they act out in school or why they're
That's good.
angry or
Thank you.
whatever. At what age do you start bringing your kids along the journey?
I've already started with my grandchildren because I know there's some generational trauma that has happened and I see it spilling over. So as far as the classes, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because somebody just asked me to create programs for the youth. So I'm working on doing that now too. But I think as we are more trauma informed, like you said earlier, you will be able to see it. You'll be able to see it in your grandchildren, and your children. And the one thing about it, though, it's kind of like when you go in a scripture and you read a scripture in the Bible and you can't turn it off because you turned it on. That's what trauma recovery is. Once you learn it, now you do want to help everybody.
You can't unlearn what you know.
Can't unsee it. Nope. And so you see it in your children. You see it, so you try to work to help them.
Do you deal with suicide and stuff like that? With kids who have attempted suicide or thinking about suicide?
Yes, and I'll hurry up with this story too. Really quick, I was in a conference and they called me up to speak, and the room was really quiet. And then as I started speaking and creating that safe space for the children, it was a youth program. The children, you could see them and the director, she said, "Oh my God, we got to have you back," because the children weren't engaged. Start speaking about a safe space. So it's all about creating a safe space and safe people for them to be able to talk
and finding out why there's unsafety and how they can create safe space for themselves.
Absolutely,
because you're going to go into different environments. You're going to be moving around on the earth.
Yeah.
So you got to know how to do that for yourself at some point.
It's all about educating, and again, that big.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Coach Liz. I appreciate you so much for coming, and thank you, Tamara, so much for inviting her to our table.
Yes.
We look forward to connecting with you all in October, every third Tuesday.
Every third Tuesday.
My Sister, Your Sister podcast. So if you feel so moved by the work that we're doing, we do have a Cash App.
We do.
And it's My Sister, Your Sister
Communications,
right? And what is our email address in case you got any suggestions?
Well, it's
feedback.
I can't say it off the top of my head, but
so
what I will say to you is sistersllc2020@gmail.com. And if you have a topic that you're interested in for us to talk about, please drop it into the email. We love to do that.
Yeah, we'll put it in a bowl, shake it, and pick one. Now,
love to bring Liz back on because there's so much to talk about.
There's so much more to unpack.
The trauma with the current climate in the United States and just everything.
Cancel culture, girl.
It's just so much that we can talk about. And so thank you again for
coming.
Thank
you so much.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy.
We love you.
Thank you. See ya. Good night, everybody.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of My Sister, Your Sister. Now, don't keep this to yourself. Tell a sister or a brother and join us next month on the third Tuesday
at 8 p.m. Eastern
on WVTC Detroit. Stay in touch with us via email at sistersllc@gmail.com and partner with us via Cash App at $MSYSCOMM. Peace out.
Let me out the throne of and see find a sweet relief.
Hello, everybody. This is Brandon Waddles, the son of Detroit, Michigan, just telling you all to make sure that you keep on watching WVTC Detroit.
Hey, Detroit! The Detroit chapter of the Gospel Music Workshop of America. Women's choir is calling all gospel singing ladies. Join us as we prepare for another powerful concert on Sunday, October 19th at 4 p.m. This is a citywide call for 100+ women who love to lift up the name of Jesus through song. Come, rehearse, connect, and sing with us. Rehearsals are happening at Craig Memorial Tabernacle, 14201 Puritan Avenue, Detroit. Evangelist Santa Rose is your choir coordinator, and Dr. Iris Taylor is the Detroit chapter chairperson. Let's make a joyful noise together. See you at rehearsal.
Listen, I'm here at Elmar's Furs. I need you to understand, if you can't get in the store, you can always shop online. And when you shop online, you want to make sure that you follow him on social media, on all social media. And if you're looking for the website, it's elmarfurs.com. Listen, Instagram, Facebook, We're looking for you. He's got sales, and he's got a payment option for you that's going to meet your very need. It's going to benefit you because you'll get in on the sales. So listen, make sure you come or visit us online, elmarfurs.com.
This is WVTC Detroit, your award-winning gospel internet radio station. We're bringing you the best in gospel music, live shows, and inspiring interviews. Like and share our page on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay connected. Your support helps us spread positivity and encouragement throughout the community. So whether you download our WVTC app, visit our website at WVTCDetroit.com, or join us on Facebook or YouTube, you will stay connected and entertained. Join our WVTC Detroit listener family today and tell your friends about us. Together, we can make a difference. WVTC Detroit, where gospel meets the community. Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.